Hello, everyone. I wanted to jump on today and share a super powerful lesson that has really changed the game for myself and my clients. And I thought, oh, this is too good not to share. I would love more and more people to be empowered by this information. And so, this lesson is going to be really helpful for anyone who has experienced something with their horses that they don't prefer. And that could be, like your horse has gotten into a pattern where they're bucking or bolting, or it could just be that like I feel like I'm stuck in the same sort of pattern with my horse. So how do we shift this, and how do we step into unshakable confidence even though we've been experiencing these things, and it's normal and natural for our bodies to go into survival mode and to freeze up and to grip and all of the things that we don't want to have happen. But how can we change this? Well, we absolutely can. And the work that we do away from our horses is huge in this. Like, you do not have to grit your teeth and feel like I have to push through this thing. Like, I just have to force myself to get through this thing. And if I do that enough, then we'll come out the other side. Well, that's actually not very effective and it's not super helpful. And it's not a great way to enjoy the journey. So how can we move through this? Well, one of the most powerful lessons that I learned from Marissa Peer while studying to become an RTT practitioner was she taught us all about the rules of the mind. And one of the rules of the mind is that our mind responds to the words we say and the pictures that we picture in our minds. And this is really huge when it comes to our horses, because we are often taught that we are responding to whatever the external situation is. Our horse does something and we're responding to that. But then why is it that two people can go have the exact same situation with their horse and they can experience completely different results? It's because they're not responding to what's happening with the horse. They're responding to the words that they're saying about the situation and the pictures that they're picturing about it. That's what they're responding to. And we can all change that. So it doesn't matter if you are experiencing these challenges, because you can move through them by changing the words and the pictures. So Marissa Peer shared with us while we were learning about this. I want to share it because it helps to really paint the picture of how effective this is and how much it affects us in our day-to-day lives. And she shared the story about, okay, you have two people and they're looking at a burger. And you imagine number one is a vegetarian, and it's a meat burger, like it's a beef burger or whatever. And so what are the thoughts that a vegetarian is thinking when they're looking at the burger? Well, you can imagine, or maybe you are a vegetarian, I'm not, but you can imagine a vegetarian may be thinking things like, oh, like the animal that had to die for this meal, or, that looks super greasy and oily and and maybe they're thinking of the animal's sweet face and all these things. And for them, it's super easy for them to pass on the burger because the thoughts they're thinking and the pictures in their mind, like this greasy burger, they're feeling like that would be the worst thing for me to eat. And for them, it's just like, whew, easy, I pass on it. But person number two is a meat eater and they're looking at the exact same burger, this beef burger, and for them, what are the thoughts they're thinking? Well, it might be things like, oh my God, I love juicy burgers. There's nothing more I'd love than to dive into this burger. And maybe they're picturing like the last burger they ate and how delicious it was and how juicy it was. And then what happens? They start salivating. And then, of course, their actions are they are like, yes, I'm going to eat the burger, and they eat the burger. And why does this matter with our horses? It's the exact same thing. So if you can imagine two people going through the exact same situation with their horses, so person number one may be that, okay, so the situation is that the person asks their horse to go into a trot, but then the horse picks up a canter and maybe gets a bit tense without the rider asking. And person number one is thinking, okay, like, I have lots of tools in my tool belt. I can easily bring my horse back to a calm trot. There's all sorts of things I can do. And they're picturing in their mind is like, yep, I can see us coming back to a trot. No problems. So what happens in their body? Their body responds by staying calm, staying confident, starting to move through the tools, going through like solutions of how they can help their horse. Their horse also feels this, and what happens? They come easily back to a nice, calm trot. But person number two, the exact same situation, same horse, same everything. They ask their horse to trot. The horse gets a bit tense, goes into a canter. But instead, what they are picturing in their mind is, oh my God, the last time this happened, the horse bolted. They start tensing up. They're picturing the horse bolting. So what does their mind respond to? They're not responding to their horse going just into a canter in that moment. They are responding to their horse taking off, because that's the picture they're having in their mind. They get tight, they get tense. And what happens? You don't have access to your logical mind in this state because you're in fight or flight. So you don't have access. Even if you have all the lessons and the knowledge, those lessons aren't coming to your mind at this stage, because not because you're not capable or not because you can't do this. It's because of the thoughts that you're thinking and the pictures in your mind that then you're like, I don't have access to that because all the blood is rushing to, the extremities of my body. I am focused on survival here. There is no space for me to logically think how I can easily, calmly bring my horse back to a trot. You get tense, you get tight. Your horse, of course, picks up on this, and then more often than not, the situation escalates. And so where is our power here then? Well, we see that all our power is within the thoughts and the pictures we put into our minds, because we cannot control everything our horses do. Of course we can't. Otherwise, we should have brought a motorbike if we just wanted something that was going to always respond this way. But of course, we can't control everything our horses do, but we can control the thoughts that we think and the pictures in our minds. And you might be saying, that's like well and good for you to say that, but in the moment I do not have control over my thoughts and the pictures in my mind. It's an automatic reaction. It just happens. And in this point in time, I can't just be sitting there going, this isn't happening. I am going into I can just bring my horse back to a trot, da-di-da-di-da, So the key is here that you don't wait until you're in the situation to start using these tools, because our mind learns by repetition. So you start now, way, way, way before you even go out to your horse. And you start by becoming consciously aware of the thoughts you are thinking and the pictures that you're picturing in your mind before you go out to your horse. And if your horse has developed some sort of pattern where you're like, this is happening regularly, then it's likely that your mind is automatically thinking this is going to happen. So this is the work, is what would you love to happen, and focusing on that and getting emotionally involved with that, because then your body is going to be responding to these pictures, like you being calm and confident. And you don't have to picture the situation like my horse bolting and then me bringing them back calmly and confidently, because you don't want to be focusing on your horse bolting, right? But you can focus on you being calm and confident and knowing that whatever challenges arise, that you'll be able to move through them, and you have the tools in your tool belt, and there's things that you can do, and you're always focusing on solutions. And it's the repetition of these thoughts and the pictures that you're picturing, like you and your horse being calm and confident together, is what's going to move you towards that picture. And you'll be guided to take actions that are in alignment with that, whether that's, lessons with somebody, or that's going to a clinic, or whatever it is. But it starts with like this thinking work is what really helps to change the responses in your body and for you to feel empowered. And it's a game changer. So I wanted to share how I've used this recently for myself, because I noticed the first time that I rode Poppy bareback, I actually hadn't ridden a horse bareback for a long time, and I didn't realize it. So I hadn't really put much thought into what are the thoughts I'm thinking, what am I picturing? And the result of that was the first time I went to get on her bareback, like I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm actually feeling like really quite nervous. And I was feeling like tight in my body, and I could feel like my breathing wasn't as calm as normal. And Poppy is super, super sensitive. Like she picks up on the tiniest little shifts. She notices the tiniest things. And if you're not in alignment, like she will mirror back what's going on. And I could feel her like, this does not feel good, and she's getting tight and sort of like wanting to be on top of me. I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't right. But in the moment, I'm like, okay, well, I've got tools. What can I do here? Because I hadn't spent the time. I just honestly didn't really spend the time to think about it. And so in this moment, I was like, well, what I can do is I can break it down into little actions where I can just focus on my breathing and all these sorts of things, and chunk it down and wait until I feel calm to move to the next thing. So just, draping my body over her, waiting till we both feel calm, and slowly, gradually building it up. But like I noticed things that were popping into my mind, like, oh, your pants are like, you're wearing slippy pants. You could easily slip off. And so, of course, like I was feeling these tense feelings, and I was thinking things like, oh, but she's super sensitive. Like, remember the first time that you ever even rode her, and she was like, you put one leg on and she was like, zoom, and like, what if that happened here, like without the saddle, and she can feel like maybe she'll be extra super sensitive now, and like if she moves that quickly, you'll be off. And so in that moment, it didn't feel like I had control over the thoughts and the pictures. So it really benefited me to slow down and to consciously think, what's a better feeling thought here? And I took it really slow. And by the end of that session, it took a long time, but I think I ended up sitting on her, and then we went for a little walk, and I was like, all right, I'm going to call it there, like progress. And then I went away and I thought about, like this work, of course, like I've got to implement what I teach here. And so I made myself really aware, okay, what would I prefer? What would I love? And I started really picturing us, like what I really wanted was us to be cantering around reinless and feeling bold and brave and free. And to feel super confident. And at this time, like we were nowhere near that. But I started picturing it. I started picturing in my mind and getting really emotionally involved in it. And I did everything that I teach in the program, and I made a hypnosis audio to listen to. And even now, like for you, if you want to get started on this now, like you can rewire your mind by this repetition. So choosing to, what are these thoughts? Like, okay, well, maybe like instead of thinking like I'm wearing these slippy pants and I'm going to slip off, like I'd be more conscious and be thinking like, no, actually I have a great seat and I'm balanced, and I've done all these exercises that help me with that, even just like specifically like looking for evidence to support you and in backing you up with these new beliefs. Like, actually, like I've done a bunch of exercises that help me with this, with my balance. And actually, poppy sensitivity is really great because it helps us be super in tune, and it means that we really feel each other and it takes less. And you know, how great's that going to feel when it really feels like we are calm and confident? That's going to be amazing. So like focusing on that. And I noticed a massive difference. So I was like, okay, without this work, I probably could have kept chunking it down, and slowly we get there. But doing it this way, it like felt like we were on, you know, like steroids. Like, it helped us move to that next level a lot quicker, I believe, because then like the next lesson, after doing being more conscious of the thoughts and the pictures, I felt so much more confident from the beginning. And I still did chunk it down in that, like I said, all right, this next lesson we do together, we're going to be in the round yard, and I'll definitely still have the reins on, like while I'm getting really confident, be bareback with her, of course. And we did that for a couple of lessons, like maybe one or two, and then it was like, actually I'm feeling like we're really connected and I feel like we can take the reins off. And it was actually a really short period that we went from me actually being really quite nervous to get on her bareback, and her being like, I don't want you on me bareback like this, and her being quite tense, to us being able to move through that and coming to where we could canter around bareback and rainless. And by changing those pictures and thoughts, that's how we moved through it a lot quicker than we would have any other way. And we all have the ability to do that. And our body responds to those thoughts and those pictures. And like I said, don't try to change it by when you're out there. You know, use these tools and do it beforehand and use repetition, and then you'll notice that you have more thoughts that start to become automatic that are helpful. But it takes time and it takes consciously effort, like going, does this thought actually support me? Like, if I'm responding to the thoughts I'm thinking and the pictures, then does this thought help me and support me moving towards my vision? And if it doesn't, then you get to change it. And it's not like, oh my goodness, like I've got to beat myself up, I've been thinking these thoughts that are taking me in the opposite direction. No, it's like, oh, thank goodness for awareness. Now I can pop in a thought that's going to be really helpful, that's going to help move me towards the vision. So I hope you found this really helpful, and if so, like, please leave a comment or just share anything. And it helps me when, you know, helps me to stay inspired when I know that it's having a positive effect and helping people. So yeah, if you want to dive deeper, of course, the Healed Horseman's Journey is available, and we go super deep, and you get all the tools even further and all the hypnosis audios to go with this that really get to your subconscious. So it's deep, deep work, and that's available. You can start now. Like, the program is online, it's self-paced. You can join in now, and there's an RTT session as well, which has been such a game changer for myself and the other clients that are in there. I wanted to share, a client who joined the program hadn't ridden for 2 years after having a riding accident, and she got hurt from it. And after doing this work, she was in the program for 2 weeks, and then she started to book lessons with her instructor. After 2 weeks, she started riding again, and she said, every week my confidence is growing, and it's through this work. So it's really powerful stuff, and all of us can do it. We all have access to, and the we can all change the thoughts we think and the pictures in our mind, no matter what's going on. So if you want to dive in, I'll share the link and you can join straight away, or just get going with these exercises just by being really aware what you're thinking before you go to your horse, what you're picturing in your mind, and thinking, is this serving me? If it's not, consciously change it to something that is, and notice the difference. Really allow yourself to get emotionally involved in the big picture, like cantering, whatever it is, boldly, bravely, it all coming together, and notice the difference. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon.